Hi everybody, welcome to my restaurant live today, and really looking forward to speak to my guest today, James Martin. So yeah, I've got lots of fantastic questions to ask him. So James, whenever you see that little sign come up there, you just press that and then we are live. So, and we're going to have lots of guests. And really interesting, this whole, well, however long it takes. Thank you everybody for coming on. There's lots of people coming on already. And yeah, when I won't sort of go into some of the questions I'm going to ask James until a bit later, of course, when he's here, and we'll go through it again. But he has been one of the chefs that I've really wanted on, of course. Hello, Charlie Girl. Hello, everybody. Hello, Woody. Hello, all of you. All we need now is James. James has joined. James has joined. So I press this one, I believe, and search James. There you are. Now all you have to do is just send request. James is coming on. I believe James is coming on. Let's have a quick look. Where are you? Hello, Tom. How are you? Here you are. Hello, James. Hi, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Good. Great to see you.
It's a pleasure. Good to see you as well.
Good to see.
Yeah,
and have you got? You should have a glass of champagne somewhere around there. Well, wonderful. You've got exactly the same. I've got mine open. I'm already in for mine.
Exactly. I'm going to open this one up, but yeah, it's very nice. I feel like I've been up since about 4:30, getting ready for the show this morning. So, and then should have gone to bed because I messed it all up. I spilled cauliflower soup all over the set and all over Holly, all over the Christmas tree. But the perils of live TV. But there you go. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers. Well, have a drink. It sounds like you need it, actually.
I do need it, to be honest with you. It's been a long day, but it's going to be a long week. Obviously, we're going to chat about the restaurants anyway. But
yeah.
We've got one of them opening at least anyway. Hopefully on Thursday. So fingers crossed.
Well, we're going to come to that because obviously that's part of our whole conversation here. Look, this is super relaxed. We just have a lovely little chat. There'll be some great questions, I'm sure. There's a lovely car and behind you in the background. There's some of the things I'll ask you about, but that's something at the end of our conversation.
I can't afford the real one, so I've got the toy one.
James, when I started doing this in lockdown, I did two things in lockdown. One of the things I wanted to do was do some cooking again, which I've done, which has been fantastic. And I found my love for cooking, and I found my love for that sort of rekindle of where I started years ago. And the last time we saw each other was at the Savoy at a gala when you came up and gave Brian Turner an amazing award, which was called the Fabergé Award, which it does sound very grand, and it was very grand. And James kindly kept the secret and gave Brian his award. And Brian equally, just as well, you will know James, but if anyone else out there, though, he is a terrible, but it gets very emotional, let's say, put it that way. And he got very, very emotional, and rightly so. So,
legend.
Well, legend. I'll come to that relationship as well. But so one of the other things that I wanted to do as we went through the lockdown process was just call this section Restaurant Live, just have a super chat with the guys. And I've had some fantastic people. And you were one of the people I wanted to speak to. You know, you've pretty much been the anchor man of cooking on TV, and we'll come back for how many years. But all of the guys, I was trying to think of everyone I've had on. There isn't anyone that I've had that, of course, you haven't had on. So I've had, and I won't go through them all, but it includes Claire Smith and Claude Bosi and Jason Atherton, Sarah Todiwala, John Williams, Giddy Erskine, Sophie Michelle, Atol Kutcher, Ching, Francesco Mazze, Brian Turner, etc., etc., etc. And of course, all of these, and the more I watched the repeats of all of your bits on some on BBC, some on, of course, they're all there. You know, all these chefs that I've interviewed are all there.
so pleased, James, to have you on with me, just to have just a chat, and we'll run through where you're going with the restaurants. And the 2 points
Yeah.
here that I wanted, 2 questions. One of the chefs to come, James, is Thomas Keller, who is a great mate of mine, and I know he has been on your show. I remember the omelette challenge. It took 5 minutes. But the other bit I do remember, because I was at the 25th anniversary of the French Laundry, was you were riding a motorbike and you were in Napa, and you said something like, let me tell you something about American food. You know, we might think of burgers, we might think of that, but look over there. And I've been there, and it makes me sort of because I know him so well, I play a lot of golf with him. You said, now that is probably the best restaurant in the world. Now, there's lots of fantastic restaurants in the world, but I would agree with you. And that experience of going to see Thomas, just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a restaurant's more than just food, as you know, and you know, we're both in this business. That you know, what is a restaurant? What makes the perfect restaurant? Is there such a thing as a perfect restaurant? You know, I equate that right up there with the Waterside Inn. I think the Waterside Inn's the same sort of bracket. What makes a good restaurant? Trend doesn't make a good restaurant. What makes a good restaurant is care, passion, right throughout the whole thing, and the ability to put all that lot together. And that is a jigsaw puzzle that a lot of restaurants strive for the missing 2 or 3 pieces, you know, and not many people can achieve that. And Thomas has led the way in terms of that in America, at the top of his game, not just on the East Coast, but the West Coast as well. And to achieve what is achieved is spectacular, not just in that as well, but the Bouchon and stuff like that. When you look at his cafe and that kind of stuff, he excels in that quality. And it's a thing that chefs like me look up to, because you dream about doing that. You know what I mean? That you've always got to have, I don't know, you've always got to have leaders. You've got to have people that you admire, and I certainly admire him. His work ethic, is the way that he is with the people, and the structure in the team, and it's magical.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I say I'm fortunate enough to have got to know him really well. I find the time with him, although he's a really, really good friend, the time with him is just incredible. You just come away feeling better. He is such a genuine man. But, you know, I remember once he said to me, I was having a cup of coffee, and he just couldn't believe that I was putting coffee in a cold coffee cup. And he said, why would you do it? And I thought, well, I don't know.
I don't know why you drink coffee anyway. I've never drunk coffee in my life and never will. I don't drink hot drinks enough, which is, there you go. Which is that's the pint of lager that I had at 9 o'clock this morning. But the reason why I don't drink hot drinks, I can drink more of this.
Well, I drink this as well. So anyway, come on to the next bit. And I left 2 people at the end of that. The other one, of course, is Brian Turner. We mentioned him earlier on. I was going through a few bits and pieces, and I did mention to Brian that you were coming on. It was great. And apparently you met Brian when you were 8. How could you have met Brian when, well, obviously he's a lot older than you, so that's feasible. Sorry, Brian.
Robert, when I was a young kid, I always wanted to be. I was always a bit of a grafter. We were farmers, and I was always working on the farm, and I was always outside, and I was always doing something, and that was either making stuff, mending the garden gate, or gardening, or doing something. Mum tells me, you said you were always doing something, and I found myself in a kitchen when I was a young kid, pot washing. I can't have been any more than 7 years old, and helping out in the pot wash at Castle Howard. My dad used to look after.
Oh right, yeah.
But none of my family were chefs. My dad was an ex-policeman. He was a publican. He was a landlord. He did all manner of different sort of stuff. And he found himself at sort of Castle Howard and running the catering department and that kind of stuff. I don't suppose any experience really on running quite successful pubs. And I was sort of born into sort of a farm background by my dad living on the farm and then working at that place. And then I always have a passion for, you know, looking into that kitchen. I always dreamed one day I would put a chef's jacket on and I still get the buzz every time you button up the chef's jacket. Now I still get the same buzz. It feels like a uniform. It is a uniform. You feel proud to wear it. And I got the same buzz when I was a young kid to what I do now, whatever I'm doing. But that particular place, the nature of that was, it kind of led to very quickly. I mean, me sort of gone from pot washing, and there's old photographs of me washing pots when I was a young kid, to then going into the kitchen and buttering bread, to then going to these dinners, these celebrity dinners, which back then there weren't many celebrity chefs. There was Brian, there was Keith Floyd, and
probably Anthony.
Two of them particularly, Brian Turner and Auntie Will Thompson, did these gourmet dinners at a place called the Mallee and Spout in Gothland. It was run by a guy called Peter Heslop. He then went. He was a lecturer at Scarborough Technical College, which one of the lecturers then ended up training me as well as a young kid. So it all kind of morphs in. You can see where the pattern originates from, and that sort of family tree, upside down family tree, came from there, where I met these people on my journey, and Brian was one of them. And I was helping out at a gala dinner or a gourmet dinner at the Mallee and Spout in Gothland. Gothland's where they filmed Heartbeat. And and that was brilliant. And then it sort of, you know, I learned. I didn't want to be a celebrity chef. I was a chef. I wanted to be a chef, and that's what I was fascinated about. And I was fascinated about how much they drank in the bar afterwards, even at 8 years old. The whole buzz about it was magical.
I don't think it's quite the same today, but it is it? Okay, well, I was being very diplomatic then, anyway. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's fun.
All day long.
I remember, James, I've done a number of these galas, and I was maybe Pippa, who I was speaking to today, whoever it was, and they said, well, James had the filming. He has filming next day. I said, that's fine. It'd be lovely to have James at the gala, and we've got 25 chefs. And when I do that gala, I put all the chefs together. This is I just tried to do something where all of the guys could meet, because there'd be so many other events where they would split you up and they would put you in there. And, you know, I thought, if I'm going to have an event, I want all of you guys together. You can have fun. You can have a bit of a party. People will come up and say hello. Of course they will. But anyway, so I got this and I said, look, as long as James is there, that'd be great fun, because I just want to, you know, we want to make a bit of a splash here. And then at 2 a.m, James Martin, you are still in the bar with Claude Bossy and and everyone else. And I thought, now that's how it should be. That's, you know,
and I'm live at whatever time it was. Yeah,
whatever time it was, yeah. So that's where the love came from obviously. And did you start as pastry chef? Was that your original? No, yes?
Well, I started in the kitchen.
Well, when you started,
Then I was training in restaurants and stuff while I was at school. Really, I set up a little outside catering company when I was a young kid, age 14, catering for weddings and stuff like that. And then I did cookery at school as what was then the first GCSE, so the end of O levels. That was the first lot, and I failed all my exams at school. Failed everything. The only qualification I got was art, which was a grade C. I failed cookery at school, failed a lot, which was just enough qualification to get you into catering college.
Okay.
But it was
which one did you go to?
Scarborough Tech.
Oh, Scarborough
Technical College. But I met the guy that I swear to God, and I've said this all day long. There's a lecturer there that I owe my career to, Ken Alson. Honestly, the people you meet teachers in life, and some of which weren't that great to me, to be honest with you. But this one saw something that nobody else had seen before, because I loved food. Some people say I love it too much, but I love food, and because I wanted to work in that field, he spotted it. And I remember as a young kid walking through the door at college, it felt like home. It sounds really weird, and I sort of fast tracked my way through college. I loved it, and Ken was sort of it reminded me like Karate Kid sort of. So I was training on a night with him. You know, it's really weird. Nobody else was around. They would all go to the pub, and I was in the kitchen going, "How do you do that, chef? How do you do that?" And I was enthralled and intrigued by it. And there was a couple of people who were like that. James Mackenzie from he was the year below me, and there was a few people at college that had been there, and so the people that were ahead of me as well. That the star in at Hareham and those kind of ones that sort of were sort of inspirational to me and as a young kid. And then very, very quickly, I finished college on the Friday, and I got offered a load of places to work by chefs who came up and judged my end of year exam. Alistair Little and Brian Turner and Anthony Wall Thompson. And I worked, and I literally got on the train on a Sunday night, and I was working for Anthony on the Monday. And,
Wow.
I started off in the pastry section. I didn't actually know.
So where did you work with Anthony? In London, here in London?
At 190 Queensgate, at the Restaurant Association.
190 Queens?
Yeah, with Roy
Amazing.
Ackerman down below.
Yeah.
And those were the days when, it's quite topical now, Princess Di was eating there with Princess Di used to eat there, and Kylie at the height of her fame, and Right Said Fred, and the Commitments and all. Shirley Bassey was there, and it was the place back then in the 80s, late 80s. And then I worked downstairs, so I was in the dungeon part of it, and I used to do the pastry for the upstairs as well as the downstairs. So the restaurant side of it, fine dining if you call it, and then there's sort of the brasserie side of it, the bistro side of it. And the head pastry chef, there was only two of us on the pastry section. The head pastry chef on day one, I remember it. I was there on a Monday. On Tuesday, he said, "I'm off to the loo," and I never saw him again. And with that, I was then pastry chef. Because
you were then pastry chef. James,
right, you're now pastry chef. I went, well, all I've got is an old catering, college cookbook of all my recipes. So don't you worry, fine, crack on. Lemon tarts, 15 of them, and that was it. And then I remember sleeping in the bench at 190 Queensgate, 5 nights a week. I was doing 6 days a week there. I used to have Sunday off, and they were pushing. We were pushing 18, 19 hours a day, and I remember sleeping on the marble slab and being woken by the Portuguese butcher next door, but because I couldn't be bothered. Well, I didn't have time to go home because I used to cycle backwards and forwards from the restaurant back to where I lived, which is, I didn't know London at all, but it was a bloody long way away. It was especially for a guy that never done that sort of journey before.
I know.
And that's how I started, really. But I fell in love with it. I genuinely. And my mum came to see me about 3-4 months afterwards, and I remember she was in the queue of waiting to get in, and her idol Shirley Bassey was sort of 6 people along, just waiting on the front door. And I walked past her, and I said, "Hi, Mum," and she didn't have a clue who I was, and she burst into tears. Because I'd lost all this weight. My eyes were like some Amazonian sort of creature, black eyes. But I genuinely loved it. That moment, I fell in love with doing it as a living.
It's something that I have a similar experience. I remember 190, of course, because as you say, it was the home of the Restaurant Association in those days, and we had great links there through that world, and it was in the beginning of my Restaurant Association relationship. But I started in London, and what changed my life was going to Ealing College. It's exactly the same. Suddenly you were with people your own age, and you could start from the beginning and start to learn. And we have our practical cookery, Cesarani and Kinton and all the stuff. I met Mr. Cesarani actually, years ago before he died. Who was the sort of, I was going to say the headmaster of Ealing College in those days, which is now the University of West London, of course. Can you see me all right? Are you going? Yep, I've got you.
I can see you. Yeah, I'm waving to everybody saying hi to me as well. So I just
want to say hi. There is, I can't, this, by the way, James, you have won the award on all the people that would like to go for a drink with you. You've also won the award on how many messages I've seen, because I just cannot keep up with them. But all I can say that everyone I've seen so far is everyone is saying lovely things about you. So
yeah, any cauliflower. Thanks for that. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, cheers for that.
I better watch that later. So and so really, so I didn't know that about you, by the way. I didn't know that that's where you when you started in London. But then you obviously went to France quite soon after.
Well, I was doing that in my younger years. I was 14 when I first went to a Michelin star restaurant to work. My dad was a bit of a wheeler dealer, bit of an Arthur Daly sort of chap, and he used to import most of the Centimillion wines into the UK. I don't understand why, how, but he used to get dressed up bit like Father Christmas every September, and go to Centimillion and classify the wines. He was one of only 2 judges outside of Centimillion, back the Jurado de Centimillion.
James, I got to say, there's so many messages, but this one, you are hotter than any oven. I mean, what's it like living in this world that you live in? Listen, I thought I had a few nice messages coming in now and again, but there are...
Paul Hollywood. Paul Hollywood, that's easy. Not me. No, I'm just an old geezer. But no, that's how I sort of, when I was a young 14-year-old, I went with my dad, really, because I think my mum said, you're going with your dad to get me out of the house for the summer. Could only cope with just my sister. So I set off in the van to the south of France, and my dad would go to all these sort of famous vineyards, but drop me off in 1 or 2 of them. And I remember being a young kid, 14 years old, working at, I didn't know what the place is. It was just a big house with a white horse, Cheval Blanc. That's all I knew it was. Well, I worked with the grandmothers of the house, Cheval Blanc, Ozone, Figeac, Pure Isaac. I didn't know any of these places. And then we used to stay in the area of Saint-Emilion. And that's where I fell in love with food, I suppose, seriously for the first time, was working in a Michelin-star restaurant called the Hotel de Plaisance, which was right in the centre of, excuse my Yorkshire mixed French, but it was right in the centre of the area, right at the top of the hill in Saint-Emilion. It's a lovely little sort of place. Anybody's been to Saint-Emilion, but directly opposite there's a macaroon shop which I used to love. You go there a lot, and then opposite there was a place called the Hotel de Plaisance. And my dad used to eat there with these meetings that they used to have with the Jura, because it was a big thing this sort of every September. And the chef said, well, why doesn't he come in the kitchen? And that was it. That's where we are now. That was it.
That's amazing. By the way, a few people have asked, what are we drinking? We're drinking actually a wonderful champagne called Frère Frère. And it's
very nice.
And it is really, really nice. I mean, there's a long story of why they support Michelin. And I don't know whether you know, James, but I look after and run the Michelin Revelation in this country for UK and Ireland. So I'm getting very excited. That's going to happen on the 25th of January. And that's where all of the new Michelin stars will be announced. Normally, it's obviously at a big venue. This year, it's a completely different concept, and it's going to be live streamed. So I'm really, really excited about that. But Frère Frère are one of the sponsors for that. And the other thing they sponsor, which is, I'm going to come on to this bit, because this has got such a lovely link to, I'm going to ask you about Chewton Glen in a minute, is they also our sponsor for Young Chef, Young Waiter, which is a competition that I run and have looked after, and it's 41 years old. And many chefs have been on your show, Marcus Waring, Mark Sargent, Adam Handling, have all been part of and won Young Chef, Young Waiter. So that's how old it is, 41 years old. I haven't run it since the beginning, by the way, but I've certainly, and Roy Ackerman started it, of course. And he started many things. So coming on to where you are today, because I know we could talk for hours, and but I want to come up to date with what's been happening, obviously, in the world. You've managed to change around the program that you're on Saturday morning, and you've obviously managed to do that wonderfully now, where you've kept distance and you can get a guest and you can go outdoors, do loads of stuff in the pizza oven, which is absolutely fantastic. By the way, I love that pizza oven. But Chewton Glen, obviously, you have the restaurant at Chewton Glen, and you have another one in Manchester, and obviously Manchester probably still in, is it still in tier 3, I think? But so Chewton Glen is opening this week.
Chewton Glen opens. I'm in the restaurant tomorrow. We open Thursday. Fingers crossed. But we are officially open Thursday. Look, let's be honest with you. It's not been easy for anybody, and I think people don't really see that side of me, really. And interesting enough, the customers are a little bit shocked when I'm actually behind the stove, and I genuinely love it. We opened up in the 4th of July. We started open again. I was there every single day for was it 11 weeks, something like that, 7 days a week. I love it. It goes back to the story when I put my chef's jacket on. I love it to the day. But these are nightmare times. These are not easy times. They're honestly, Robert, you're never going to go through this as a hotelier or as a restaurateur ever again. And hopefully God don't. And you know, there's lots to be said about what the government's done and whether they've handled it right. Listen, we're all in this shitstorm together, pardon my French, and it's not easy. And to try and motivate your team around this nightmare, that the restrictions that you put in place, it's very different. If you're a theatre, you shut. You know you're going to be shut. Now we're open, but I've just been phoning up my mate Gareth Ward, who's a bloody legend in Wales. He's just open. Then he's just been told that he's got to shut at 6 o'clock. It's just, I mean, the whole thing is just a complete cluster of nightmare. Because if you're closed, you're closed. But you can't just turn a tap on and off. You know, if you're a shop, it's a bit different. You walk away from a shop, you lock the door. A restaurant, you've got all the food. What the hell do you do with everything? You know, you've got even down to the fridges, down to the water. We're a hotel. We're an 82-bedroom hotel. When you lock a hotel for 6 months, you have to employ people to run all the taps, run all the baths, run all the water systems, keep all the fridges up. It's constant, and you can't operate. You can't open. So I
did an all-party parliamentary conference call the other day, a Zoom call, and I said to them, look, you have to plan whatever's going to happen now. You've got to plan it for the next period of time, because you can't shut and open and shut and open. These places have air conditioning, they have all the fridges.
We're the same in Manchester. I think we're just having discussions now in Manchester. They're not going to tell Manchester whether they're going to be in we're in tier 3 at the moment, whether we're going to be in tier 2 until the 16th of December. We think we're going to have to make that decision today, whether or not we're going to have to close till the new year. So we won't be open. So that's all the team that I've got that can't go to work. So but nobody knows. You can't suddenly say, actually, by the way, 16th of December, you're going to be open. So that gives us 3 days to Christmas.
It's impossible.
We can't. It's impossible. So you're having to make those decisions on your own, on yourself, with no information in front of you, because they won't give you access to that information. It's frustrating. It's annoying. Let's face it. Look, mentally, it kind of screws your head in, because you've got no idea what's going on, and you get the feeling that people making the decisions have really got no idea what's going on, because I've just been told today they're going to allow shops open 24 hours a day because they want to recoup their losses. Well,
why not open restaurants? Restaurants were the safest place before lockdown. Restaurants.
I believe so, because the restrictions that we've got, we've got everything in place really for our customers, and the whole industry that goes back to the chef's jacket. We're in this industry to serve. I put the chef's jacket on and tomorrow morning I put the chef's jacket on to serve customers. That's what I do. And it's frustrating that we can't serve customers, even with all the restrictions that we have to have in place that we've done, and we do that for our benefit of our staff and our customers. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a difficult one, isn't it? You feel like you've been dragged in with everything else. The pub scenario, you know.
I know. Well, they reckoned. I mean, you know, before this lockdown, the infection rate I mean, you would have heard this, was something like 4.73% in a restaurant, which was far safer than going to hospital.
It's really frustrating, because we did all this in July, and I remember spending a week. I remember my birthday. I remember painting the booths in the restaurant. That's what I did on my birthday. I was painting all the booths with all the chefs. And I was cleaning we have a buggy that goes backwards, an electric buggy that goes backwards and forwards to the restaurant. I spent my entire birthday cleaning it. There's nothing else to do, so I was painting and cleaning. And I remember opening the first night. We put all these restrictions in place, and we're full. The customers loved it. We had a great night. We finished, obviously 10 o'clock, finished. I get in the car, I drive home, and I thought, I'm just going to drive back through Lymington and back home that way. And I drove through, and I've never seen the pub so busy on the outside, nobody social distancing, nobody doing this. I'm going, what is the point?
Yeah, yeah.
What is the what? Why are these people knackering it up for the other people? And that was the frustrating thing. And I don't know how you get around that. I'm not qualified to know that. But anyway, there we go.
Well, I
think
you put it in. Do you know, just taking another part of that, which is something that I asked some of the incredible chefs that I've interviewed here through the beginning, with Claire Smith and Claude and Pete and Jason Atherton, and those people. How do you, they have many restaurants, or they have, restaurants at highest level with lots and lots of stuff. How are you going to keep them motivated? How are you going to, and the other thing that government have absolutely no idea, and I made a really good point of saying that this is not like it used to be. This is not, you go and pull a chef out from university. These are trained professionals that have trained and trained and trained to be doing their skills and their crafts. These are trained service operators. The waiters are trained. They take months to get to that level, the knowledge that they have to get to that level. You can't just open and shut and open and shut. So the most important thing was, how do you keep those teams? I mean, how many is in your kitchen, and how many are within the kitchen? And somebody just said you should be Prime Minister, by the way. By the way, there's so many messages here.
Well, do you know what?
Everybody. I can't read.
I wish some of the politicians would have a proper bloody job, to be honest with you. A lot of them are not, and a lot of them are a bit deluded. I remember storming out of a thing when I was actually doing some stuff for the Beeb, and we were doing a thing on hospital food. And I remember being at an event, and there was a politician there saying something like, life was like picking mulberries and quinces from your garden. I wanted to get up and punch him because they're so far removed from the day to day. I'm not saying I am. I'm quite. I've come from a working farm background, and I've done okay for myself. Lad's done all right, but I want the younger generation to do the same. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm passing the mantle to somebody else. If somebody wants to take.
Hello. Oh, James, where have you gone? Oh, lost you. Got you back.
Want to come back on a Saturday morning? I'd love somebody to sort of take over that kind of stuff. But it's hey, who knows? I kind of, it's frustrating, but there's no right answer because nobody's been in this position before, so nobody knows. But I just wish there was clarity, and clarity is always the best thing, because and leadership. You can lead your team, and those team will follow you anywhere. And that's what I love about this job, is that when you've got a team of people that you're with, and you're behind you and in front of you, and the restaurant staff and the kitchen behind you, that team, when it's on song, there's no feeling like it. The buzz is immense. It really is. When it goes wrong, it's a bloody nightmare. But but the focus is you, and they look at you when it goes wrong. And you look at them when it goes wrong, and I've changed the way I've worked. I'm much more, at the end of every night we like to sit down together and say, look, what worked, what didn't work tonight, how can we make tomorrow better? And that's what we do. But what you are now, where people see you on Saturday, which is great, as they've seen you on Saturdays for years and years and years, for how many I don't know, and all of your shows. They see you as the performer and as a celebrity chef. When I hear you now, you are a passionate chef with a restaurant. That's a different ballgame altogether. I put my chef on 8 years old, and I've got restaurants now, and you've got responsibilities when you have restaurants. You've got a team. Those team have got kids. They've got mortgages. They've got issues. The mental thing you're trying to deal with the young kids now and the young team. That they've been told to coop away. They've been training all their life to then suddenly switch off and sit there and do nothing, and be so used to that schedule of 5 days a week and that kind of stuff, to then do nothing. It's a real difficult thing, and that requires. I'm walking into a team tomorrow. I don't know what I know. I'm walking into a great team with an amazing bunch of people who are passionate about what they do. But I'm sort of 10% of the motivation, if that makes sense, because I get there. my motivation from them.
Well, let's hope that somebody out there is just listening to two people that know, you know, what this business is all about. And people, I haven't got any restaurants today. I've had so many in the past that in a way I'm sort of, you know, happy I don't have one, because I don't have a massive team to look after and to motivate. But one of the things I do is Young Chef, Young Waiter. And now this is where a bit of good news comes to you, James.
Yeah.
And I don't know which restaurant, which part of Chewton Glen this particular chap works in, but one of the finalists on our waiters is George Smart, who works at Chewton Glen. So George is one of the, so the Young Chef, Young Waiter competition, we carried on running through lockdown. We ran it on an online process. We're the only competition running pretty much in the UK. We're certainly the only one running for waiters, and the Young Chef, Young Waiter, as I said, is 41 years old. So I am the first person to announce that, George, you're in the final, just in case somebody hasn't told you yet. Now,
I'm going to see him on Wednesday. Back at work on Wednesday. I'm going to go see him.
The only thing is, George, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this next bit, but bear with me. The most important thing is you are one of the 8 finalists, and we had, I can tell you, I won't tell you the amount, because I shouldn't, I suppose, but anyway, more applications than we've ever had in 41 years. So because the chefs were there, they needed something, and I just wanted to be part of that, James, where we just kept that desire, that enthusiasm, that, you know, just some route forward for them, that they could have something to look forward to, because it has been, it's for you 1 minute, and for them it's exactly the same. You know, they're 1 minute at work, 1 minute not. But anyway, let's move on, because you and I, we could talk about that one forever. I want to go back to your TV, some of your TV bits and pieces, because you have been absolutely everywhere. You've been all over the world filming. I mentioned earlier on about the one in America, which I absolutely love, by the way. I do love the US. I know lots and lots of people and lots of chefs as well that you would have met. You did, another dear friend of mine is Wolfgang Puck, where you were in there with the fire and the steaks. And I think was that his tip about the, like, oh my, I would call it an OXO cube for the
OXO cube. Oh, yeah, fantastic. By the way, anybody looking at this, next time you cook a steak, if you season it with an OXO cube as well, it's spectacular. It really is. Yeah.
OXO cube and butter. That's it, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's the way to everything.
So when did you start Ready Steady? Where did you start on TV?
I was the head chef at the Hotel de Van with 2 other legends, Robin Hudson, the hotelier, the legend Robin Hudson, who's now got the Pig and Limewood.
Yeah, who got an award. He actually won a, I don't know whether you know, but he won a case.
Yeah, he won a case. And a legend which is Gerard Basset, which sadly passed away. But
he was dear. I give you, I had no idea, by the way, that you were with Gerard either.
Yeah, well, when they set up the Hotel de Van, the very first Hotel de Van in Winchester, we all left Chewton Glen together. So we all came from Chewton Glen to set up this idea that they had this new brasserie boutique hotel that you didn't wear in a uniform, and it's quite a trendy place. And it sort of mirrored the food on brasserie sort of stuff. So then they picked me, and originally I was the sous chef, and then I remember cooking in the kitchen, working with these prospective head chefs, and they give them a box of ingredients, sort of a trolley of ingredients over a period of week. And I remember on the Friday, the head chef at Chewton Glen turned around and he said, "You can cook better than any of these lot. Just cook something." And I went, "What do you mean?" "Well, just cook something." So I just cooked something, and next minute, the plate that I cooked got taken away from him. Pierre Chevillard was his name. And he took it into the chef's office where Robin and Gerard were eating. And he put it down. And I remember he told me afterwards, and as he put it down, he went, "That's the head chef you need." And they were a bit scared, a bit wary, because I was only 22 at the time. And that's where it all started. The minute we opened the hotel, it was packed out for 8 months. And because of that, we used to get a lot of famous people coming down for a meal. And one of which was Keith Floyd and Lloyd Grossman. They booked a table, and they hadn't booked a table because we didn't have any tables free because we were fully booked. So we sat them at the bar, and Gerard and Robin weren't there that night. And I remember serving them the food and walking to the bar, and the barman said, I grabbed 2 beers for the chefs because there was only 3 of us in the kitchen then. There was me and 2 others. That was it. That's all we had. That was our entire team. Right. And we were doing 80 covers a service, so 120 covers a day every day.
Wow.
And I was on a 7-day straight shift for years. I remember working years. And I remember sitting away this lady called Mary Ramsey. She was the producer, and said, look, there's my card. Have you got an agent? And I went, what are you talking about, agent? And I used to have real long hair with a bandana tied around the back of my head. Long hair, because I couldn't afford to get my hair cut, so I had really long hair. And she said, have you got an agent? I went, and there's no an estate agent, but I can't afford a house because I was living above a Chinese restaurant down the road. And my lounge was above, I had 2 rooms, a lounge, which was above the Indian restaurant, and my bedroom was above the Chinese restaurant.
That was a nice aroma in the room, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. And she said, well, you know, I'm doing this TV show. We're after some younger talent. Give us a shout. And I went, well, anyway, the following day I phoned her up and I said, look, I can't really do much because I'm working 7 days a week here. She said, no, we'll send a car for you and we'll get you back for service. So I remember this chauffeur-driven Mercedes arrived at the back of the restaurant. And anyway, I remember getting in the car and it had a car phone in it. One of the first car phones.
Yeah.
So I said, can I phone my mum? So I phoned my mum saying I'm on my way to London to do this. They called it a screen test. Right. And I remember my knives, I couldn't even afford a knife kit. So I had 2 knives rolled in a tea towel. In a tea
towel, we used to do. I remember that.
Yeah, and I went there for this interview thing. There was about 7 people filming and 2 people asking me questions. I was cooking at the same time. And anyway, and she went, yeah, all right, we'll be in touch. And by the time I got back to the restaurant, she called up the restaurant and said, have James phone me up. And I phoned her up and said, yeah, we'd like you to be on the show. And I said, well, I'm doing bits and pieces. I've been asked to do, it was the big breakfast with Gabby Rosman.
Chris, yeah.
And he said, no, this new format, it may or may not work, but we'll give it a go. It's Ready, Steady, Cook. And I went,
oh, wow.
Give it a go. We'll see how long it lasts. And that was it.
That was it. So you were one of the first ones on Ready, Steady, Cook as well.
I think I was the first newbie out of the group. Yeah, I was. And then I remember the first show competing against your old boss, Anthony Royal Thompson. That was a bit surreal. And
Turner, well, you had Anthony and again Turner, back to those days. I mean, the same old names used to be around in those days. Yeah. I interviewed Ainsley, actually, one of these lives. I had Ainsley on the other day, who was hysterical. I mean, you don't actually, I don't know whether I said anything, actually.
You listen with Ainsley. You ask 2 questions, and then you listen. That's it.
And he was off. And of course, when I said, where did you find your love of food? Of course, we're Caribbean or wherever we were or wherever he was at the time. And it was just like, and Brian the same. You know, this is a beautiful thing about I like doing these because I like having a time, you know, I've seen you numerous times, obviously, over the years, as I do with all the chefs, but most of the time, you don't have a minute to speak to anybody because you're either running around in a restaurant or you're running around and doing whatever it is you're doing. But you know, what I didn't realize, and I'll just go a tiny bit here, and I'm not going to get too deep in this one, but
Gerard, while you're doing that, Robert, I'm going to find a charger because my thing keeps going off my iPad.
All right, okay. I'm going to tell him all about Gerard Basset. So Gerard Basset was the world sommelier of the year, the world sommelier, and every other type of world award he won. He was it. He was as good as it gets in wine and every kind of. Okay, don't worry, I've got you. You're doing this on purpose, I know, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I was very poorly 3 years ago, James, and one of the persons that would always send me something and look after me was Gerard Basset. I actually had tongue cancer, and he was so lovely to me. Gerard ended up, oh my God, you got enough stuff there, have you?
Oh, look,
What?
I've got a charger.
You want to wind it up?
I've got.
But Gerard, unfortunately, I thought he said he had throat cancer, and I would then equally go back to him. But Gerard had esophagus cancer, which was really, really a difficult one. And the wonderful thing about Gerard is that he was so wonderful to me when I was poorly. And yet when I came back to him to say, I hope, sorry, it does, I hope it has a happy ending. And when I go back to him to hope him, to wish him well, he would always wish me well, James. And yet he was literally days from death. You know, he would still say, thank you so much for texting me. I hope your family are well. Because sorry, you missed a bit because I was very poorly. He was very poorly. We were both sort of poorly together. But the guy was there are very few people like that in the world and then sadly he died, and I felt really upset about that because he was just amazing, beautiful man and a master. When I say a master of wine, there's masters of wine. There is Gerard Basset, who won everything in the wine world, didn't he? Won everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything
and more.
And more,
an absolute legend in our field, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And sadly missed. And we sort of all feel like we were on the new team and the original team of the Hotel de Man, and which went on to be what it is, and
amazing,
you know, spin-offs from it, and what he's done, and what Robin's done, and what I've done, and all that kind of stuff, and kind of those were the days. But yeah, sadly missed. So let's
we're going into a wonderful subject because
got a charger in it now, but I can say it's actually charging, so it's all right.
Oh, that's okay. Good. Well, we can see you and hear you. It was going away. So look, just go. We've only got a few minutes left now. So let's just go into two things I want to do. And one of them was trying to calculate. So through this period of lockdown, I've really enjoyed doing some cooking videos, which I've done. And I think about them and I do them in my way. And it's been great fun. And I have absolutely loved finding food and learning about food. And I've gone into Blue Zone. I've gone sort of quite deep into it in different ways. But the most important thing is produce. You know, great produce. And I know you get lots of stuff from the garden, and I go to my garden. But I've done 150 videos in about 7 months. So I was thinking about this. I thought, now James does 3 or 4 dishes every Saturday. Plus he does all those. Plus he's been doing it times 25 years or 30 years or whatever it is. Has anyone ever calculated, plus books, plus everything else, how many dishes? Because the thing is, somebody says, when you did such and such.
I can tell you exactly how many it is. I can tell you exactly how many it is. We have this wonderful people called the Home Economists who work on the show, and a lady called Sam Head. She's worked with me for years as well. And Janet Brinkworth worked with me before that with the days of the BBC and stuff. And if you look on the BBC website, I think I've got 15 times more recipes than anybody else on there. There's like 3,500 recipes on there. I know on my computer, I've currently got 18,500 recipes from the years that I've been doing. So they're currently on my computer. 18,500 recipes have been on television.
Wow.
We produce on average per month $1.50. So 140 recipes every month is what Sam and I are producing, and together with my team. So 140 recipes every single month. So what's that? It's a lot.
140 recipes a month, plus the restaurants.
Plus the restaurants, but I've got a great team. You know, I've got a great team, and you know, Dougie up in Manchester, Lee down in Chewton Glen, and I've got a guy called Adam Summers who's fantastic. He came on board in October. Big love to you, Adam. He's just got a new baby boy, so top fella. He looks after my restaurants there. He's there today, and he keeps saying to me, he said, wherever I go, it smells of paint. Wherever he goes, it doesn't. But you know, you need somebody like that, and you know, he's fantastic. Ex-Waterside Inn as well. He was at the Waterside for 5 years. Brilliant. So you know, he's really putting the restaurants on the culinary map as well. We've changed a lot in terms of the restaurants as well. People, like I said, people don't expect me to be cooking in it, which is kind of weird, really. But anyway, there you go.
But you love, I mean, I used to remember I remember we keep going back to Turner, lots of whether it's whoever it was, but you go to the restaurants, and of course, if somebody owns a restaurant, the chances are that's what they do. If they own a restaurant, if they're a chef, they're going to be cooking in it.
They aren't very often, does it? But, you know, that's why my mates are my mates. You know, those people that we have on the show, and, you know, this is filmed at my house. This is where we have them in the boys' room area. You know, can you call it a boys'
right.
room?
Yeah. You know, I've got that. Yeah, wonderful.
You have to be politically correct now, can't you? You can't call it a boys' room now. It's a room. It's a room.
A room for guests.
Yeah, a guest room, green room they call it. But
it does
room.
it looks a bit like a boys' room though.
I mean,
there's motorbikes and pool tables.
There's 3 motorbikes in it. It's got a few guitars. It's got a pinball machine, and there's a car actually in there. Look, there's a.
No, love it. So James, that brings me on to the final bit. So when I see you open up the show, I think it's still the same. You drive. You have a love. I have a love for cars as well. Love for cars. And I'm not going to go into everything that I bought, but one of the things we did buy this year was a car that which you will like. So we bought one of those this year, which the little MGA, which you use. I think I think it's on the start of your show. It used to be anyway.
It is. Currently, it's currently in that garage over there. I've got another garage over there where the cooker sits, and the car is by the side of the cooker.
So we love them. I mean, they're all locked away at the moment. I have another couple, but I'm certainly not going to sit here and go through a car list because it's supposed to be talking about restaurant life. But I do love.
No, we can do.
We can. Cars as well. Well, one day, I'll bring one. I'll come down to Chewton Glen and we'll roll one out.
Yeah, let's do this. Let me open the restaurant. Let's do this again. Why don't we do that?
Let's do it again.
Exactly.
James, thank you so much for your time. It's just been lovely. I wish everyone well with the restaurants out there.
Well, I'm just reading a lot of these messages. Can I just say thank you so much on behalf of me and my team for everybody's tuning in, all the support, all the messages as well. We've had people from all over, Turkey, Tunisia, Australia.
I mean, there has been more messages, James, that I've ever had here, and I haven't.
Can you tell Tom Kerridge that? I'm going to wind him up in a minute.
Well, I haven't heard. He's the only one we haven't had on yet. I think we need to get Tom on.
He's too busy.
We'll get him on. But it's been just fabulous. Thank you, and Jean-Frey, thank you for the champagne. James, it's been brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for the messages, because we will send this out on an IGTV so everyone can see it again.
Robert, and thank you for all you're doing as well. We've met at several things and several events as well. Thank you for everything that you're doing as well. You're doing an amazing job. And to stand up in front of the rooms that you do, in front of the people that you stand up in front of and do what you do is an inspiration for me as well. But I just wanted, on behalf of the hospitality business, to say thank you for what you're doing, and I'm glad you're better.
James, thank you so much. That's very sweet. Lovely. Look, on that note, it's just been a thank you to everybody who's come in. I'm sorry that we just had no way can we get through all these, but we'll have a go. And if I can see any, James is the star, Bobby. Yes, I know he is. What about me?
Is there a time limit on this?
Yeah, we've got to go. We've got 3 minutes left.
Oh, with 3 minutes. Go on then. We can answer. We answer a couple of questions in 3 minutes.
Have a look. Okay, great chat. Thank you both. There you go. Thanks, Robert. Yes,
John Williams. You got John Williams from the Ritz.
I know.
He's a legend. Why aren't you in the bloody kitchen, chef?
John, who else have we got? Lynn, we've got. Good luck to all the chefs. Let me go down to some of the.
I'll give you a little secret. John Williams is on my Christmas show. We're actually on Christmas Day. We're going to be on Christmas Day. And John Williams is the legend. If you've never eaten anywhere, there's a Michelin star restaurant. I urge you to go. I know it sounds fancy, go to the Ritz, but it's not that. You can have lunch for £5, apparently. No, you can't. But lunch is. lunch is amazing at the Ritz. It's very, very special. And John's at the helm. Legend.
Well, this year I'm going on. John is a dear friend. We play some golf together. We were going. Oh, by the way,
you're always the bloody golf course, you lot. No wonder I'm in the bloody restaurant.
So I've got a Zoom call tomorrow with the old head golf course in which you bought a wonderful event there. Now, of course, you couldn't go there this year.
Yes,
but that's all there. So I'm speaking to them tomorrow about some other bits and pieces.
Interesting enough, when I bought that at the charity auction, Brian Turner and John Williams came approach me saying that we're part of the team of three. I went, well, there you go. Cost me a lot of money. Now.
So they were immediately your four ball. That means you had one left. That was it. That was just you and a mate. Let's have a quick look. So we can get any other.
Great. And like I said, thank you so much. And yeah, look after yourself. And hopefully look, fingers crossed, next year we'll be back together in a big room and we can chat and we can raise a load of money for charity and embrace and
well, celebrate
and
coming out of this.
That's
yes,
what our hospitality is.
Yeah. Well, we've we have also been creative, inspirational, and all of the chefs and restaurateurs have done everything they can to look after their teams, look after their groups, and look after their staff. Because these people are young professionals and or old professionals, but they're all professionals, and it's not easy to just find them again.
Another thing, as we've got a bottle of champagne here, which is slowly disappearing. Can I just say a big shout out to all the producers? Keep them going as well, because without them, we are all the producers of all the food, all the wine, all the everything.
God, with all the suppliers and everybody. I mean, it's just a whole range of things. I mean, you're absolutely right, James. You can't love the boys' room. Hope you recover. Well, that's me. Yes, I've recovered. Thanks so much. Yeah. Anyway, listen, we could go on for hours. James, it's been great. Let's do another one. We'll do another one pretty soon.
Absolutely. Why not? And anyway, I'm off to what am I gonna, I've got to learn how to play this because I'm at Carfest.
Somebody said to me you're in a band. That was the other thing.
I am in a band, but yeah, it's we've been we're due to play at several big gigs next year, so we're in front of 32,000 people apparently. That's
why
if we're
not?
allowed, but
well, you've obviously got plenty of time to learn how to play guitar.
Well, no, but not to, this is my only night, and I'm going to be playing it a little bit dodgy because I've drank too much of this. But I'll be having a play of that back in the restaurant tomorrow, putting that chef's jacket on that I told you about.
All right. Well, okay. Look, I'll follow you on Instagram. I'll see how it goes. Lots of love. Be good.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.